Cowboying is an important and integral part of Alberta's history and traditions. Yes, the entertaining and glamorous rodeo-style kind that makes the stampede, but also the cattle feeding and herding, the sleeping in a tent, the driving a couple hundred head of cattle up and down a mountain over the course of several months kind of cowboy. And that kind of cowboy is under pressure. Pressure from years of drought, from supply chain issues, first as a result of the pandemic and now because of tariffs. And then you have the rising cost of everything from food to fuel and a labor shortage. Well, all of this has contributed to Canada having the smallest cattle herd size in decades. Many ranchers are simply trying to save money, and in some cases that means foregoing cowboys for technology or reducing their herd size even further so they can manage it themselves. All of that means is that cowboys like Henry Gamble, a man who's been riding horse pretty much since he learned to walk some 60 years ago, are becoming increasingly rare. So Henry, tell me where we are right now.
We're in southern Alberta in the foothills.
It's an area about 3 hours south of Calgary, on the eastern side of the Rockies. A landscape that is as beautiful as it is integral to some of Alberta's biggest traditions, cowboying and cattle. Ranchers lease the land from the Crown for several months at a time, enabling the herd to feed and giving campers and cattle a chance to share the space. Hundreds heads of cattle are en route this week to call this stretch of paradise home for the next 4 months. And just as he has for the past decade, Henry is getting the land prepared.
We're about to put cattle into the lease, and we're just going to check the fence and haul salt and get everything all staged for the cattle to come in.
This is arguably the easy work, the checking the fences, the dispensing of minerals, setting up camp for the season. Just as the cows will graze here for several months, this is where Henry will hang his hat too. Far away from civilization. No internet, no cell service. And for much of the season, only a man, his horse, and hundreds of cattle.
The eeriest is the quietness of the countryside. If you've never been out in the back country and heard quiet, it is eerie the first time you ever hear it, because all you do is hear your heartbeat and your breathing.
This is God's country, the foothills of southern Alberta. Now, every summer, thousands of cattle will descend on this land and make it their home for about 4 months. The only thing tracking millions of dollars worth of livestock are a handful of cowboys, continuing a tradition that predates Confederation.
It's just a great place to be. There's lots of water, lots of shelter, good grass.
You say good grass, and because the whole point of bringing the cattle here is to feed them, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, why wouldn't ranchers just feed them at the ranch?
Too expensive.
Oh, how so? Like, so feeding them hiring a cowboy to live out here for 4 months is cheaper?
Yeah, well, it takes so much feed to feed a cow. It takes 30 pounds of feed a day to feed a cow plus her calf, and the calves don't do as well. They don't get muscled up. They'll grow, but they just won't do what they should.
So taking them out here and having them live out here for 4 months is much better for them overall.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more cost efficient. You don't have any machine cost. You don't have to feed them year round. Like if they were in a dry lot, they'd have to be fed year round, and somebody would have to feed them year round. I mean, they do pay me to be out here, but this is a great place for the cattle to be.
And for people to be. In any given year, Henry will spend 4 months living out here, primarily alone, trying to keep the herd, a herd that can number anywhere from 400 to 1,400 head, moving from one pasture to another, checking in on the cattle via horseback and quad, regardless of the weather.
Just going to wander around these cows here and make sure there's they've nursed and none of them's limping, and check the bull, make sure he's okay. And yeah, they'll be a little spooky.
Why do you think they're so skittish?
Strangers, the weather today, and they probably haven't been checked all that much this summer on foot. They've probably been checked by the quad mainly. But as you can see, they're all running pretty good, so that's a good sign.
Today, everybody seems to be in good shape. That isn't always the case.
And you can hear them bawling in the bush. If we wait, there's one coming out there now, probably went down for a drink. It's not nice to see them in the bush like that. They can rub off the flies and scratch their back wherever they got an itch, which is good to see. If the cows are lame, they'll be hanging back from the group, which is a foot rot. They can get foot rot on all 4 feet, as well as the calves can. How you can tell, they get on their foot, they get swelled up. Yeah, and you just gotta treat them with penicillin. You should use an expensive penicillin. You just stick a rope on them, and usually two guys will do that. One guy on the head and the other guy on the heel, and stretch them out.
It can take days to get help out here. Just making the call can be a half-day's ride to service. Cowboying and feeding cattle really does reflect the ebb and flow of life. So much of Henry's job is minding the cattle, checking for injuries, and offering humane solutions when medicine won't help or is too far away.
We run onto a yearling that was wolf damaged really bad, and he was still alive, and I just went back and got a gun and put him down. And that's the only humane thing you can do with him, because he's not going to survive.
It's never easy, but it's part of the job. Tonight, we're spending the night at camp to get a better appreciation of Henry's workload and lifestyle. It's more human company than Henry is used to. When did you decide to become a cowboy?
15 years ago.
That's incredible, because most cowboys start when they're like 12, right? Or at least in their early 20s.
Yeah, well, it was just a matter of, I always enjoyed riding a saddle horse, and my brother said I should apply for this job, and it was riding a lease, and I applied for it and got the job.
So what does that mean, riding a lease?
Well, just go out and check the cattle and haul salt and make sure that the animals are where they're supposed to be, and try and get along with the backcountry users that are out there.
Is that difficult?
Some can be. Most are really good to get along with, but there is some bad apples in every group, right?
And a lot of time you're kind of by yourself, or you've got 1 or 2 friends with you, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Is it, like, have you run into any wildlife that could cause you dangers?
Well, I've seen bears, I've seen cougars, I've seen both grizzly bears and black bears. The black bears are pretty good, but grizzly bear, you don't want to ride on her if she's got a couple of cubs, and you give her all the room she needs, or go there another day when she's not around there.
At the time that you're starting, you're essentially 50 years old, becoming a cowboy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I felt very intimidated for the first couple of months I was at the place that I was at. And the reasoning being is 2 things. I was intimidated by the vastness of the area and the number of cattle we had. Our capacity at that time was 1,400 yearlings, and we had just under 180,000 acres.
And most of the time, he's just by himself. How do you fill your time on all these nights? I mean, you're by yourself. What do you do?
Well, usually I get up at between 6 and 6:30, and then have breakfast or go out and catch the horses and have breakfast, figure out what I'm going to do for the day, and then get ready and ride for 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever the day is, and then by the time you come back and unsaddle your horse and brush him and let him go for the night, that's an hour, and then you got to have something to eat. And usually by 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I'm ready for bed. It'll be the looking after cowboy and stuff will be gone in probably 20 years. There won't be anybody out here. They'll have to come out and ride, the ranchers that own the cattle, or pay somebody to do it. But doing as what I do, it'll be long gone. And to me it's sad, but there will be always people out here that want to ride in the backcountry. Always. But doing it for a living, it's going to be it's a dying art.
We're here at the Plateau Cattle Company. It's about an hour and a half south of Calgary. Now, every summer they take their 450 cattle and they move them all the way down to the foothills of the Rockies behind me. Their cattle get to graze on 60,000 acres of unadulterated grass. And every fall, they bring them home to graze so they continue to eat a diet of native plants.
Today, we're moving cattle because we're moving them to fresh grass. So we try to utilize the grass as best we can. So there's actually a lot of grass management. So you'll see a lot of ranchers say we're grass managers, and cows just help us do that.
John Smith and Laura Lang run this third-generation ranch pretty much by themselves. Every summer, half their herd goes grazing on cooperative lands, and the other half spend months up the Mount Livingston Range.
We do everything by horses. We'll take the dogs as well, and we'll move them onto some new grass. Walk up one. Walk up. We take them up there in June and we go, okay, bye. And we try to ride and move them and take them mineral and salt and make them utilize different areas of the mountain. Because they use wildfire suppression, they're useful for that, but also for restoration of the grass. So they kind of graze amongst campers and everybody that goes up there, and we go up there all summer and then bring them back the end of fall.
So you two do that?
Yes.
You don't have any hired help?
No, we don't.
They used to, but the margins have just become too thin over the past few years.
It's always 24/7, and in the last little while there's additional, right? Like every ranch has another income. So I also work in agriculture and communications work.
Beef prices may be high, but Canada's herd sizes are the smallest since the 1980s.
We've reduced our numbers the last couple of years by a couple hundred head just because of the drought.
How many cattle do you have?
Right now we're about 450 pairs right now. So we're down a little bit. Drought, we've had to reduce our numbers to try and work within our environment. So. But now it's starting to rain again, so maybe we'll be able to push back.
And we
up.
were holding around 600 head of mama cows, and then bulls, of course, and some replacement heifers. So yeah, we're looking at that to try to rebuild. I think the cattle inventory in North America is low, so we're seeing some price recovery, which is a good thing. So yeah, about 450 times 2 because there's babies.
Yeah.
So how much of an impact did the drought have on your operation?
Huge. It's a huge impact. Not only did we have to reduce our cow-calf numbers, and that was actually really hard for us because there was cows that we elected to sell that really there was nothing wrong with those cows, and we would have liked to have had them in their genetics stay, but you have to draw the line somewhere.
Winter feed's important, and we did not get a first cut of hay because we didn't get rains in the spring, so we're really hoping this second cut will backfill, but it won't be enough. Yeah, so those costs have been crazy, and with cross-border and tariffs and feed, there's a lot of unknowns, so we've just learned to be really creative with water and grass and do what you can in the last few years and just go with it.
Their creativity is being noticed. The Alberta Beef Producers just awarded the ranch the Environmental Stewardship Award, in part for their concern for animal welfare, but also for their operational efficiency and commitment to sustainable ranching. Part of sustainable ranching is actually keeping cattle moving from one pasture to another so that they don't deplete all of the resources in one area and they actually give a chance for regrowth. That's tough to do without hired help like Henry, although technology is starting to ease the burden.
These virtual collars now, the first iterations there now, and you could for us to go and buy. And I wouldn't say that the technology is exactly where it's going to be. In 5 years, it's probably going to look quite a bit different, or in 10 years. So, that's going to be a real game changer for as far as keeping cattle, excluding cattle from waterways. We'll be able to manage the grass much better. We'll be able to move them and exclude them from the places where we don't want them, right?
We've used drones to find our cows now a little bit, and it's like, wow, that saved us a day of riding, right? And then using DNA, pulling hair samples of our bulls to check their leptin genetics so that we know we can breed for a lower input, higher gain animal. I always say we're a combination of tradition and technology.
It's a necessary evolution.
Fewer people are coming from the ranch or the farm. So when you're looking at hiring or doing anything like that, your talent pool and practical skill level is probably going down.
We'd like to see our grandchildren on the landscape, right?
It is happening.
It's hard to imagine what 50 years from now might look like.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Riding horse is all Henry has ever done, even if he spent most of his life just doing it for fun. He started the season knowing his summers in the foothills were coming to an end. Ranchers are increasingly investing in technology and foregoing hired boots in the field. He figured he'd be replaced one day soon. He didn't think it'd be because of himself. Cowboying is a dangerous job.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So when you're out in the bush like this, like there's no internet here, there's no cell service. If something happens, there's not even 911 that you can call. That's got to be a bit of a concern.
You just got to hope nothing happens. And be careful and be very particular where you ride. And if you're riding later on in the evening or later on in the fall, you make sure you're back to a very well-used trail that somebody, if you get onto it, somebody will find you if something happened.
And this year, something did happen. Thankfully, he wasn't alone.
I was going to meet some friends of mine down at Willow Creek, and we were going to go for a ride, and we were waiting for him, and I adjusted the saddle on this horse, and everybody was ready, and I stepped on the middle of this horse. He turned twice to the left. I got him stopped, and in the meantime, I got tipped over, and I was leaning over, and it was just like slow motion, and my foot got kind of twisted in the stirrup, and he jumped to the right. I come off, and it was just like in slow motion, just slow motion, and I get on the ground, and I'm thinking, I got pebbles on my hand here, and I'm rubbing my arm, and I'm thinking, man, my leg hurt. It really hurt. They got me straightened around and got some painkillers, and I said to Cody, you'd better go on saddle these horses, and he says, well, what else do you want me to do? And I said, well, I can't ride. You better haul me somewhere. So we went into Black Diamond and had x-rays, and the old doc goes, he said, we're sending you to Calgary to get a hip replacement. And I go, well, it can't be that bad, can it? He come back 15-20 minutes later, and he said, oh yeah. He said, you need a hip replacement. And so my left leg was 2 inches shorter than the right.
So what did that mean? Like, so you got your hip replacement, but that was well over a month ago. You're still not riding. So what does that do for this season for you?
My riding is done for this season. I've got to wait till the doctor's okay, but.
And professionally, it may be done for good. With true Alberta grit, Henry is pushing himself into recovery. Only a few weeks after his surgery, he was back on the quad, navigating the terrain he knows best by horseback. He can't get to the cattle on wheels, and he's still months away from riding. His days, once filled from dawn to well after dusk with rustling cattle and riding the frontier, are now spent reminiscing and longing.
If this is what retirement's like, I don't want to have anything to do with it, Christine.
Tonight, he'll spend the night under the stars like he has so many times before, listening to the cattle calls in the otherwise quiet night, knowing he may never be a hired hand again, knowing that his career may have been cut short by one small misstep, knowing that by next year, his employers may have replaced him with technology and weekend checkups by the ranchers themselves, but knowing that he remains a bona fide cowboy.
Cowboy is just, I call it a habit, and I don't do drugs, so that's not my habit. My horse habit is my habit. And if I'm not riding somewhere for somebody, I'll be riding in the back country for pleasure.